It's bottling day here on Smoking and Drinking. Hey, welcome back to Smoking and Drinking. I'm Mike, and lake season is over for us, so I got a Saturday open. So it's bottling day. I've got 3 gallons of wine or mead that I created almost a year ago, 11 months ago. I've got a Dragon's Blood wine, and I've got a Dragon's Breath mead, which is a spiced mead. And I'm really excited to try this one, Norton Grape Red. I picked these here in Kansas. Picked them myself, crushed them, and fermented. They've been sitting for 11 months, and it'll be a nice red wine. Norton is a variety of a small purple grape that grows well here in Kansas, and it is in Missouri. It is the state grape. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get these bottled and get some space cleared on my fermentation counter and replenish my wine rack. It's starting to have some bullet holes in it. So let's get started. All right, I moved the other 2 gallons out of the way a little bit. We're going to start with the Norton because it was closest. You see I've got some equipment here. I've got a pitcher and our turkey baster, got our auto siphon here, and we've got our cylinder and our hydrometer. So we don't really need the hydrometer. We've already, in fact, we may skip that step. We tested the specific gravity. Yeah, we might. It ended up at 1.00. So we might take a specific gravity just for grins and giggles. But let's get started. So we need to take that off, get it out of the way. We're going to have to elevate our wine. Well, these have been sitting so long, there's some dust on the fermenter, just like as if it was bottles in the wine cellar. But let's just take this off. Let's take the whole thing off here. Take this off and see what this smells like. I can't wait. I've been waiting for 11 months. I'm excited. Oh, that smells nice. Smooth, mellow. We need to get it elevated, and it is very full, so we need to be very careful. Hopefully we can get 5 bottles out of that. Have to have that elevated in order for your siphon to work properly. You want your source higher than your destination. You can see that we're going to fill this right up to about there, and that'd be just about perfect. So let's, as we said, just for grins, let's take a gravity reading. Should have done that before I put it up there so high. That's an interesting color. It's a deep burgundy. I didn't expect that. Almost brownish. It's pretty. As I said, when we set it on the shelf, it was at 1.0. It is, we gained a few points. It is at, I should say we lost a few points. 0.996. 0.996. We started at 1.124 and we ended at 0.996. We'll have to calculate that ABV. Oh, that smells beautiful. Set that over here. Let's calculate that ABV real quick. Get out the handy dandy calculator. We started at 1.124 minus 0.996 is 0.128 times 131.25, 16.8%. So we're going to call that 16%, 16 and a half. That's a pretty good ABV. That's going to be a nice sipping wine. We'll save that. That'll go into the bottles. Got my glass. You know what? Let's just taste a little bit of this. I know it's bottling day, but you didn't get to see me make this. I made these before I started my channel. We'll have to do it again. That vineyard where I picked these grapes is still doing business. It's a little past season now, but maybe next year we'll get some. Again, it's got that deep brownish purple color to it. It's got a mellow nose to it. Get a little bit of like black cherry or dark fruit, dark berries. It's beautiful. Oh, that's nice. It's kind of like almost like a softer version of a Merlot, maybe a cross between a Merlot and a Pinot Noir. It's got a good fruity flavor to it. A little bit of some tannic character to it. We did oak this. I was looking at the wrong one. I was looking at the Dragon's Breath Mead. Let's calculate that again. Gotta look at the right one, Mike. All right. We started at 1.092. Won't be quite as high. 1.092 minus 0.996 is 0.096 times 131.25, 12.6. Okay, that makes more sense. So that's right in range with a Merlot or a Pinot. Sometimes they're a little higher, but 12.6, 12 and a half is what we'll call it. And we did oak it. We added French oak staves. That's really all we added. No other additives to it. So beautiful. All right, let's get busy. Today's bottling day, not drinking day. It's hard not to, though. That's pretty good. All right, back to bottling. Got our pitcher so that we could siphon right into the bottles. This way, I can kind of get an idea of how much I have and how many bottles I'm going to need. A lot of times I end up with 4 full bottles, and then I have to use these 16-ounce beer bottles, Gresh bottles, which work well. They got the swing top on them. Usually those stay in the fridge as my taster. So this way I'll know just how many bottles of the 750 milliliter bottles that we'll need. Enough yapping, Mike. Let's get busy. Get our auto siphon put together. All of this has been sanitized in the sand tub with Star San. So everything is sanitized. Put the open end of the hose in our pitcher. We put the auto siphon. I'm leaving the cap off. Normally the auto siphon has a little cap. It's a kind of an extra filter to catch any lees that are in there. I don't think we have much by the way of lees still in there. Yeah, there's some in there. Maybe I ought to put the cap on. There is about a 1/4 inch layer on the bottom. So to be safe, because I don't like floaties in my wine, especially since I give this away to friends and family. This might go in the Christmas gifts this year. since it is so delicious. We'll leave the cap on so we don't get any floaties in there. Start it about halfway down, give it a few pumps. I'm going to hold it, keep it up above that layer on the bottom. It should be fairly well packed. It's been sitting for quite a while, but we'll go ahead and let this go. Won't make you watch the whole thing. It's not very exciting. Be back in a second. All right, we're almost to the end. There is a pretty good Lee's cake on the bottom. So I'm glad I put the cap on. I just stirred it up. That's no good. I may stop there. Well, it's packed pretty well, so it stopped again. I don't like to have floaties in wine that I give away. Not that it hurts anything. There's nothing wrong with that, Lee's. People drink that little bit out of the bottom, but it just doesn't look very appetizing. But even with the cap on, we got real close to a gallon. Okay, so as you can see, here's a gallon right here. So we're just shy of that, maybe 4 or 5 ounces, 6 maybe. That's okay. So we're going to put this back up here again and get us some bottles. We have all our bottles here just off camera. I sanitized 15 bottles, 15 750 milliliter, and 3 of my 16 ounce or 375 milliliter bottles. Thinking about buying some of those wine bottles that are 375 milliliters, half of this. You can still cork them with the same cork, but maybe not. I don't like to buy bottles. These are all given to me, or I bought them very, very cheap. So I think I've said this before. Those of you who watch my channel, I bought like 150 of them, or for like $25 or something like that. My brother, who also makes wine, says, "You're always rubbing that in," because he paid for his bottles. There you go, Kurt. Anyway, next step, I need to get my bottling wand. I don't have that here. Be right back. I just realized some of you may be new to the channel or new to wine making and are kind of wondering, Mike, what is all that stuff and where did you get it? I kind of blew through it pretty quick at the beginning. You saw me use the turkey baster. It's just a standard kitchen turkey baster. Makes it a lot easier to get the wine out of the fermenter or out of the pitcher when I do my specific gravity readings. They make a device that you can use. It's a long tube. Right at the moment, the name is escaping me. I'll put it here. I'm having a senior moment, but you hold your finger over the end of the tube and then you let go and it drains into there. That takes forever. This works really well. Probably could use a little bigger one, but then I'd probably just have too much when I'd go to using it. But I mentioned specific gravity. You might be asking, what's specific gravity? Well, we measure the amount of the amount of sugar or fermentables in the must before we start. They call it a must, and then in the wine when we're done. We take a beginning gravity, and then we test gravity throughout the process, and we take a final gravity or an ending gravity, and once we take that, then we put it back on the fermenter for about a week, and then we take it out and test the specific gravity one more time. If the number hasn't dropped any, we know that it's done fermenting. It's fermented all of the fermentable sugars out of it. It's called dry at that point. And then we can bottle or we can back sweeten or do whatever we do next. With this wine, we're going to leave it dry. Norton's typically a dry red wine. I like it dry. We won't back sweeten, but that's how we measure where we are. It measures the density of the water and the fermentables, the sugar in water or must or wine or juice or whatever you're measuring. So it's just a tool to kind of know where we are. Also helps us calculate our ABV. We estimate the ABV without expensive scientific equipment, we won't know exactly. We mentioned this was about 12.6. It's 12 and a half is what I call it. It could be more, could be less, but it's close enough. Just for fun mostly. Okay, the fermenters. I should finish what I'm talking about. The fermenters, it's just 1 gallon fermenters that I bought on Amazon. They come with, it's a kit, comes with a lid and a grommet and an airlock. I might have bought the airlock separately, but it's all from Amazon. And I'm not an affiliate or anything. That's just where I get most of my stuff. You can, I don't know if you can see that on there. There is a nice sludge or lees cake on the bottom. That's just all of the particulates and um, dead yeast and things like that that just fall to the bottom. And that's what we want. We want that on the bottom so it's nice and clear. This is a very dark wine, so clear is not really the right word to use. But anyway, let's get back to business. I went to get my bottling wand, and it's stainless steel. They also make plastic ones. You hook your hose on one end of it with your auto siphon on the other end of the hose, and on the other end it's got a spring valve or stem valve on the bottom, spring loaded valve, and when it's depressed the wine flows through, or mead or cider or beer or whatever you're using, but it won't flow if the stem is not depressed. So the theory is you put it in your bottle, and when you depress and you have your hose and your auto siphon and you get your siphon going, when you depress that, it fills the bottle. You'll see that in just a minute here. But we've got all our bottles. Again, these bottles, like I said, I bought them from a winery that went out of business. I think it was really 150 of them for about 25 bucks, if I remember right. You can get them, you can buy them new if you want. But if you go on, you know, the social media auction sites, Facebook, Marketplace, you can pick this stuff up pretty cheap. All of this stuff you could buy used and in good condition. So, okay, we've got our bottling wand connected to our siphoning tube and our auto siphon connected. We're going to take the filter cap off the bottom because, like I said, that's pretty clear. We got all of the particulates, left them in the fermenter. So we're going to put this in here so that I know where it is. I'm going to put the other end back in our pitcher. And we know we're just under a gallon. So we know we'll be able to fill just under 5 bottles. I got 4 of them sitting here. I don't know if they'll get the 5th bottle or if we have to go to our smaller bottles. But let's get started. Now I may have to stand up, which means I'll chop my head off, but yeah, almost requires 3 hands, but I think I can do it. You have to have that stem valve depressed in order to get your siphon started. And there's a punt on the bottom of the bottle, a little dimple that goes in on the bottom of most bottles. Makes it a little more challenging to depress that stem valve. Okay, we got that done. Give it a few pumps here, and I think we're going. So now, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's just slowly filling up. And see if I can get a close-up shot of this. You can just kind of see it filling up slowly there. If I had the pitcher higher or I lowered the bottle, it would go faster, but slow is smooth and smooth is fast, as I saw on TV one time, but maybe that's a military thing. But we'll just wait and let those fill, and we'll be right back. Now, when you get it almost to the top, I got to pump it a little bit here. My siphon kind of died on me, but when you get it just about to overflow, you want to pull your bottling wand out, because as you can see, the level went down due to displacement. I'll set that aside and grab your next bottle. Obviously, it'd be better if I had this bottle down below the table. I added a little height to my bucket there, hoping we get a little better siphon. Okay, now I think we're going again. Okay, got my 6-gallon plastic fermentation bucket with the lid. That puts me down where I need to be. Now we'll start cooking. Get that flowing. All right, now we're flowing well. Problem with putting it down there, it's darker down there. It's harder to see when the bottle's full because these are tinted bottles. I mentioned the 6-gallon fermentation bucket. You might ask, why you just make a gallon, not 6-gallon? I hear guys making 6-gallon batches. Several reasons. One, if I had a 6-gallon fermenter up here, you wouldn't be able to see me. So this just keeps it down at a manageable level. Two, well, it's just me and Mrs. Smoking Drinking, and my daughters and their husbands. And I really don't need that much wine. A 6-gallon batch makes like 30 bottles. So I'm not selling it. And sadly, I don't have that many friends to give it away. A lot of my friends don't drink wine, but that's okay. 1 gallon at a time just allows me to make a lot of different kinds. So I have fun making them a gallon at a time. And you can see me, you can see everything I'm doing here. Like I said, I don't have a studio, so it's not like I can show you full length what's going on here. All right. Bottle number 4 going in. We're going to be real close. So I don't know if you can see the level. It's right here on most of these. And you want as little headspace in your bottle as you can. The cork's going to take up about 1.5 inches of the bottle here. So that's not a whole lot of headspace. I might be able to raise them just a little bit, but I also want to try and get 5 bottles. So that's a pretty good level for those. I'm going to set these over here. Gotta keep an eye on what I'm doing down below here. Don't want to overflow. When you get down close to the bottom of the pitcher, you have to kind of watch, and you might have to tilt your pitcher to get enough volume in the fermenter or in the auto siphon. Set that up on the edge and get a little tilt out of it. We're real close here, so I got to watch what's going on down below. There's number 4. And look at me, I don't have a number 5 ready to go here. It's over there. See if I can grab that without making a mess. Gotcha. Only got a few drips on the top of my bucket. Okay, now this one we're going to have to tip the pitcher. Try and get every last drop out of there. Don't want to waste any of it. It's amazing how much volume is in the tube too. So when we get to the bottom of the pitcher, we may not make it to the top of the bottle, but once we empty the tube, we'll be darn close. Almost to the end. You can kind of see that there, I think. Yep, we're getting bubbles here, so we don't want that to, just pull that out. And then get the rest out of our tube. I can put this up here. Get my stem valve to, I got a little bit of a twist in my hose here. Always want to be careful not to flip your empty pitcher over. I've done it. It's a mess. Of course, it's empty, so it's not quite so bad, but if it knocks those bottles over, I'm in trouble. Really kind of being precarious here. You're seeing me be this way. I do this I make these mistakes so you don't have to. Okay, we're so close here. Okay, well, this may have to be my tester. It's okay if it's not full. As you can see, it's not. What we'll do, that's way too much headspace to store on the wine rack. Oxygen will spoil your wine. You don't want to allow oxygen into your wine. Once alcohol is present, you don't want to have oxygen. So we'll cork it. We'll put it in the fridge. Maybe we'll have that with supper. That'll be a nice supper wine. Maybe make a steak on the smoker, and that'll be real nice to go with that. So we got 4 and almost 5 bottles. 4 and, I don't know, what is that, 2/3? But so we're not done. I almost said that's it, but we're not done. We need corkage, don't we? So for the corks, I've got several of them here. I got 12 of them in here because I thought maybe I was going to make 12 bottles. I don't know why. I can't count, I guess. It'll probably be 10 at the most. But I just get my corks on Amazon like everything else. But you want to put them in some water with some Star Sands. I mentioned that earlier. That's the sanitization fluid that we have in our sand tub that we sanitize everything. But you also want to put your corks in there for a little while. These have been floating since we started bottling. What is that, about 10 minutes? It does 2 things. It sanitizes your corks and it moistens your corks. You don't want to stick a dry cork in there. You want to have a little bit of moisture in it. And this is sanitized moisture, so we don't have to worry about infecting our wines. And then, of course, when you store it, if you ever wonder why they store them horizontally, it's to keep the cork wet. So those are real cork. They're not synthetic. So there's different people believe different things about corks. Some say that you should never use real cork. Some say you should always use real cork. I'm kind of a traditionalist. I figure they've been using corks in bottles for thousands of years. So anyway, the next step, let me get this cleared away here so you can see what I'm doing. This is a big monster, so it may not all fit in the camera lens, but I have a stand type corker. They make hand corkers as well. I'm not going to set it on the table, but just to show you, you set your bottle in here, you put your cork in the top, and you pull down on the handle. And we're going to keep this down low because I don't want to disrupt everything on the table, because you have to put a bit of force on there. But I bought this on Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. A great deal. But like I said, you take your bottle, you set it on the pedestal. It's spring loaded. I should put that, maybe I can give you another angle that you can see this. Anyway, this pedestal at the bottom is spring loaded. It's all the way depressed there. Put the other end of the bottle up in here, and then you take one of your corks, and they are a little bit tapered. It's very slight, but they are a little tapered. I usually put the smaller end in there, and then you just pull down on the handle. It compresses the cork and pops it into the bottle. Easy peasy. And you press that base, and there you have. This one needs to be adjusted a little bit. It's running in a little bit too deep. So we just adjust our set screw a little bit, about a quarter turn, and we do the next one. Again, like I said, this pedestal is spring loaded. Set your bottle in there and push it down so that your bottle fits underneath. Goes up into the depression there, right there. Grab another cork, drop it in there, pull down on the handle, Takes a little force. Got to push a little bit. And you're jamming that cork in there. You want it to be tight. And there's number two. Yeah, that's better. You want it right flush. Could adjust it a little bit out, but we're not going to worry about that. So that's two. We'll do the rest of these and be right back. All right, so we got our corks in our bottles. We have 4 2/3 bottles. And I like to make a label. My day job is I'm a computer guy, so I made a little label. I just used the 4-up labels, same thing you'd use for mailing labels. These have the arched top on them. I made a little logo. But because I give so many away, I like to have it presentable. If I was just drinking it for myself, and probably for this half bottle, I just use masking tape. But that's good enough for me. But I have the name of the wine and what style it is. I have when it was bottled or when it was made, the year, the month, and the year, and the alcohol, the ABV content. So, and then you can buy these little shrink wrap tops to cover the corks. It also adds to the presentation, makes it a little nicer. I buy them on Amazon, just like everything else. I just slip them over. I have a heat gun, or you can use a hair dryer or even hot water, and it just shrinks nice and tight on there, and just adds to the presentation. So this is a Moscato Sangria that I made about a little over a year ago, about 15 months ago. It's delicious. My wife loves that. Um, so that is bottling. I'll go, like I said, I haven't printed the labels for these yet, but I'll go ahead and put the shrink tops on, everyone but this one, and put my labels on. Now, what you want to do, it's important with these that have been sitting for so long, it's probably not a big deal, but I always put all of my newly corked or capped or swing top bottles, everything goes in my um, bottle bunker is what I call it. That and I let them sit in there for about a week just to make sure that we don't pop a cork, we don't have a failure of the bottle. You always want to inspect all your bottles, make sure there are no chips or cracks in them. I did that before we started, but the very slim chance that something could rupture or fail. It's contained in a plastic tote with a lid that locks, so you contain all that flying glass and wine and all kinds of misery. Contain it to the bottle bunker. I've never had one go, knock wood, but that's why we do our 2 specific gravity readings so that we know that it's done fermenting. I haven't used the sulfates or sodium, the sulfates or sulfites to stabilize and stop the fermentation process. I've done it a few times. If you ferment to dry and you check your specific gravity, you won't have to worry. You know fermentation is stopped. So if you want to back sweeten, then you have to do other things like using the sulfites or pasteurizing. I haven't done pasteurizing yet. I might have to try that, but it's not a difficult process. But anyway, that's one. We have 2 more gallons to go. We'll give you some highlights. It won't drone on, but you'll see me do the rest of these. That was the Norton. And we also, as I said, have the Dragon's Blood wine and the Dragon Breath Mead. So can't wait to taste those too. All right. Okay, next up we've got the Dragon's Blood wine. We made that also 11 months ago. Our starting gravity was 1.082, and we used 4 pounds of mixed berries. We cooked them for about 20 minutes just to kill any little buggies, any bacteria or beasties in there. We added just bottled drinking water, and let's see, that's about it. We didn't add any other additives to it. I just noticed we put some glass marbles in the bottom. We must not have been able to get all the way up to into the neck, so we probably will only get 4 bottles out of this. But this is a mixed berry wine. We called it Dragon Blood wine. So let's get started with that. Sanitized all our equipment again. Got our pitcher and our auto siphon. We're still very close to a gallon though, even with the marbles. So we are going to come up. Always want to hold on to the end of the hose or it will fly out of there and fling wine everywhere. Just like the Norton, we are just about maybe 6 ounces shy of a gallon. We're going to make our taster sip just a little smaller so maybe we can get 5 bottles. I am going to take just a little taste. I want to keep most of it for the bottles. Again, that's definitely a ruby color. Definitely smell the berries. A lot of blueberry. Maybe even a little bit of strawberry, which is what it was made from, so it makes sense. Let's give it a taste. That's really good. It's a little light. Probably should have, let's see, did we put any oak in there? We did not oak this. I think it would have helped either put some oak staves in there or some black tea. You can use black tea to add some tannins to it. It's a little light. It tastes wonderful, but I'll have to add some notes on there. Next time we'll have to put some oak in there or some black tea to give it a little more tannins. It just kind of lacks that body. And it tastes wonderful. It's definitely got a berry flavor to it. Okay, let's get to bottling. That's what we're here for today. So we'll get this back up into an elevated position. About the same as the other one. And we have 4 and about 2/3 bottles again. I took that one bottle that was 2/3 full, and obviously the auto siphon will not fit into the bottle of the wine bottle, so I poured it in with a funnel. Should never do that. You can introduce oxygen into your wine by doing that. I tried to be as careful as possible. It's not to make too many bubbles. This one's going to go in the fridge, and we're going to drink that one first anyway, so it shouldn't have a lot of time to oxidize. I think it'll be okay, but I do not recommend you pour into bottles. Some guys do it, some people do it, and it's no big deal, but I just am not comfortable doing that. I don't want to introduce oxygen into the wine and spoil it. So there was just a little bit left, some for me to enjoy here while we're doing our bottling. But we got our corker here, we got our corks in our sand solution. Let's just get our bottles. All right, we got our 4.5 bottles of our Dragon Blood wine. As I mentioned, I print my own labels, but I haven't done that yet. So I am going to just take good old masking tape, and before I get confused as to which ones are which, I'm going to write on there everything that I'll put on the label: the name of the wine, the date, and the ABV, just so I don't get confused, because as I said, these are going to all go in the bottle bunker and let them sit for a week. All right, third up is the Dragon Breath Mead. And you might ask, what is Dragon Breath Mead? Well, it's just like the Dragon Blood wine, but it is mead, which means we added honey instead of sugar. We added 2.5 pounds of Happy Belly wildflower honey, and it is also mixed berries like the Dragon Blood wine, but since it's Dragon's Breath, it is spiced, which means we added 1.5 ounces of chopped jalapenos. We also added some wine tannin powder for some mouthfeel for tannins. And it's very dark, but I can see there is some of these on the bottom, so we are going to use the cap on our auto siphon. So put the cap back on, it just pops on the bottom there, and hook our auto siphon back to our tube. We'll go ahead, just like before, give it a few pumps to get started, and this one is yet again different color than the other two. It is a light brownish red in color. We'll let this run and we'll be back shortly. We are at just under 112. Get this out of the tube and it might bring us right up to 112 ounces. Maybe 2 ounces shy of 112 ounces. Just a little bit. You can definitely get the spice right off the top there. It's a spicy alcohol, and you can definitely smell the honey. Well, that smells different. Very interesting smell to it. And again, like I said, kind of a, I don't know what color you call that, brownish red, a light brown, unlike the other, which was more of a dark brown and red. But it's very clear. They all sat a very long time, so they've degassed. All of the lees is settled, and they are very clear. And that's generally what I do to clear my wines and meads. I just let them set, just time. It degasses on its own. Everything settles. I don't need to add additives for clarifying it. I've done it. It's okay. It's not a problem, but I find just aging it in the fermenter for 6, 8, 10 months, 11 months in this case, it works fine. Ooh, and that's surprising. It's got a nice little spice to it. You can definitely still get the berries in there, and that honey, the wildflower honey, kind of on the back end. But right up front, the spice just kind of hits you and clears your sinuses. It doesn't clear your sinuses. It's not a strong spice, but it's definitely there right on the front end. So that's nice. You get the spice up front, and the berries in the middle, and then the alcohol on the back side. Again, this was 16%, so definitely a good alcohol content there. It's delicious. I love it. I've never had a spiced wine before, so I was excited about this. Enough about that. Let's get on to bottling. Like I said, we're going to have 4 full bottles and about one of those. So I found this bottle. This is interesting. It's a frosted bottle. I know that is probably pretty common, but I wanted to try that. One little tip, if you are using used bottles and you're trying to figure out how to get the labels off, I just soak them in water and oxy, and I get a big tub and I just put a whole bunch of them in there and I soak them, and then I peel them off. It's a little bit tedious to peel the labels off. What I have discovered, a little hack that works pretty well, when you get the labels off, a lot of times there's a sticky residue and it's hard to get that off. I used to use mineral spirits, but I found that just sanitizing wipe, like a Clorox wipe that you use to clean your counters with, takes that sticky residue off real nice. It's very simple. So if you are going to do your own bottles and reuse ones and take the labels off, there's a little hack for you. About a glass. That's okay. I get to drink another glass of wine. We got 4 full ones here. My cool frosted bottle. And my glass. And I bet Mrs. Smoking and Drinking would like to try that. Just enough for both of us to share. She probably won't like that. She doesn't like spicy, but we'll give it a try. All right, so next step, corking. Same as before. Okay, we got all 3 gallons of wine and mead bottled. I just wanted to show you the shrink wrap cork covers that I spoke of. Pretty simple. It's just kind of a plastic sleeve. Just drop it over the top. And you take your heat gun or your air dryer or hot water even, and you just, I use a heat gun, works real well. Just shrink that right on there, and it's just like professional grade ish cork cover. So just wanted to share that with you. And that about does it for the bottling day. And as always, I want to thank you again for joining in and watching Smoking and Drinking. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And comment down below if you've made any of these, or if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. I always reply to all comments. And, as always, Prost!